So good morning. Welcome and thank you to the 200 volunteers who made this pink triangle happen. It went up in record time this year. It took 36 minutes. So we lost most of the people because, they didn't want to hang around 2 hours. I'm Patrick Carney, and I founded this project and event. It's the 24th Pink Triangle. Thank you. So long ago, a small, tiny group of us crept up onto Twin Peaks and installed the first pink triangle in the dark of night so we wouldn't be arrested. And now 24 years, I'm still here. Hard to believe. We're all here wearing our pink triangle t-shirts out of camaraderie for those who were forced to wear the pink triangles during the Holocaust. And I would like to thank Tom Horn and the Bob Ross Foundation for paying for these t-shirts. 10 years ago today, the pink triangle was set on fire right here on Twin Peaks. Like a phoenix, we rose from the ashes, and this display has continued ever since. It is ironic, though, that a hate crime took place atop a symbol which is there to prevent hate crimes. This display is a reminder. The Third Reich demonstrates how easily a government can devise minority scapegoats. Branding homosexuals as criminals let most Germans feel comfortable looking the other way as the Nazis went about their persecution. Can this happen again? Can it happen now? Is a gradual process of dehumanization taking place in this country to stigmatize certain groups? Opinion polls show that for the first time in decades, public acceptance of LGBTQs has actually gone down 2 years in a row. I would like to welcome our honored guest this morning, San Francisco Mayor London Breed. Trans right advocate Claire Farley, a senior aide to the mayor. California State Senator Scott Weiner. The Consul General of Germany, Uli Sudbeck, and his husband and 2 children. The Consul General of France, Emmanuel Lebrun Damiens. The Honorary Consul General of Monaco, Thomas Horn. Assembly Member David Chu and his son Lucas. Oh, there they are. San Francisco Treasurer Jose Cisneros. San Francisco Supervisor Raphael Mandelman, who I might still be running the marathon. San Francisco Community College trustees Alex Randolph, Tom Temprano, and Chanel Williams. And I'd like to acknowledge Matthew Godot, formerly of the Mayor's Office of Protocol, now of the Grants for the Arts. Matthew. Several of the Grand Marshals and Honorees of the parade are here, and they'll be introduced a bit later by Pride Board President Jacqueline Bishop. Here's Jacqueline. And of course, again, the San Francisco Lesbian Freedom Band. Yeah. Thank you. And of course, I'd like to thank all of our 2019 sponsors, San Francisco Pride, Jacqueline. The Bob Ross Foundation and Tom Horn. The incredible and fabulous Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. Toad Hall and Badlands. Lazy Bear Weekend Fund. Rick Stokes, the owner of Steamworks. Paul Pendergast Consulting Group. Bryant Gerritsen and his partner Bob, his husband, stand up. Longtime Pink Triangle volunteers, now contributing. Hodgkins Jewelers, my sister. Starbucks for the coffee and pastries. Barefoot and Bubbly for what's behind me. We'll be christening the Pink Triangle. Katie Hickox for the website. The San Francisco Police Department, thank you. And of course, my family. I couldn't do it without my husband, Hossein, in the middle, and the silver lame. My sisters, Colleen and Shannon, and my nieces. And lastly, many volunteers have asked me about my 95-year-old mother, Edith. For over 2 decades, she greeted all of the volunteers and handed out coffee and donuts right here on Twin Peaks. She unfortunately passed away a few months ago. She was not only the heart and soul of our family, but also of this project. She is greatly missed. I thank her for the strength, love, and courage to be who I am. I know how lucky I am and hope every gay person is fortunate enough to have a mother like Edith Carney. She was a true treasure. We start our project each year by telling the history of the Pink Triangle. And today we're honored to have an official representative of the German government start off the program by telling the history of the Pink Triangle. We all know Germany is the nation where the Pink Triangle began. However, Germany is now one of the most gay-friendly places on earth. So speaking on behalf of the nation of Germany, please welcome the German Consul General Uli Südbeck and his husband and their 2 children.
Look what I found. Good morning, San Francisco. Good morning, friends. I'm so glad to be here again at the Pink Triangle event on Twin Peaks. And thank you for inviting me and Frank and our 2 kids, Lily and Raphael, again. Today and tomorrow, it's about celebration. We're celebrating pride, and we celebrate the accomplishments of the fight for emancipation which men and women in the LGBTQI movement, have fought for. One of the key symbols of that is this Pink Triangle. We celebrate that in many countries, this movement has led to an astonishing degree of liberation. A lot of that happened when looked at from a historical perspective in a fairly brief period of time. When I grew up as a gay boy in Germany, in West Germany, I wouldn't have dared to hope that one day I would be standing here with my husband and my 2 kids as the official Mr. Germany in California and a couple of other federal states of the United States and speak to you. So much for the good news. At the same time, of course, the struggle is far from over. There are currently 73 nations in the world where homosexuality is criminalized, and some of these countries impose the death penalty. And there are many, many, many more societies where alternative lifestyles are frowned on, ridiculed, and threatened. Also, and that is fairly recent a development, progress achieved in many Western liberal communities is under threat. It's under threat by the newly emerging far-right movements, by the rise of hate speech, not only but also on social media, and by the rise of hate crime. Therefore, we must never forget that where we are today, here in San Francisco, is just one point in a long way of emancipation. And in order to know where we're going from here, we must know where we come from, and that's where we are with the history of the Pink Triangle. In 1933, the Nazis emerged from a general election as the strongest party. They managed to form a majority government because some conservative party leaders supported them. These starry-eyed conservatives hoped they could contain the Nazis and prevent the worst from happening by cooperating with them. That was a huge mistake, probably one of the biggest mistakes in history. As soon as the Nazis were in power, they started picking out certain groups of people to stigmatize them. People who were different in their faith, their cultural traditions, their political convictions, their looks, and of course their sexual orientation. They singled them out, insulted them, tried to take away their personal dignity, persecuted them, incarcerated them, and murdered so many of them. Among those persecuted were gay men. Roughly 50,000 gay men were imprisoned. 5,000 to 15,000 of those were sent to concentration camps. In the concentration camps, all prisoners were identified by triangular labels on their jackets. While yellow triangles identified the Jews, brown identified the gypsies, red the political prisoners, green the criminals, black the so-called antisocials, purple Jehovah's Witnesses, the pink triangle identified homosexuals. Very often gay prisoners were treated extremely badly, and sometimes other prisoners joined in harassing them. When World War II finally ended, for gay men in Germany, East and West, the persecution continued. In the 1950s and 60s, gay men were imprisoned, fired from their jobs, were considered unworthy of society. And it wasn't until the student revolt against the post-war elites in the late 60s in Europe that homosexuality was eventually decriminalized in both parts of Germany. What followed then was a struggle in society to destigmatize LGBTQI ways of life, and this struggle is still ongoing. More and more in these years, the pink triangle became a sign, a symbol of the struggle for the emancipation. The pink triangle was embraced by the community as a symbol of pride and resilience. The movement made it our own, and today we are proud to wear the pink triangle. We still need it, also in future, because the struggle continues. Friends, I know that many people will speak after me. I will just end with a few words on actually the challenges we face in our liberal societies, because that's very close to my heart. So it's obvious that we have a resurgence in chauvinism and reactionist tendencies, both in the US and, of course, in many European countries, including my own. History tells us that the earlier we stand up against the factors contributing to that, the better are our chances to save what we fought for and achieved over the last 50 years. And therefore, it's for us to stand up against the growing divide between rich and poor, against anything that diminishes the social coherence of our societies, against the trend to make good education a privilege for the rich, against the inhumane treatment of any minority, any human being, no matter where they come from, whether they are legal or illegal migrants, against politicians who offer oversimplified and judgmental solutions to serious questions, against people who, when speaking publicly or going on Twitter, are willing to push back further and further the limits of language that seems to be publicly acceptable, against people who present lies as truth and truth as lies, against people, finally, who bully others just because they can. So let's be proud, confident, and strong, and let's wear this triangle for the fight that is going to come. Thank you.
Thank you to the Consul General of Germany, Uli Sudbeck. It is a great honor to have the Mayor of San Francisco with us today. She works diligently every day to solve our city's problems, and she is a great supporter of her LGBTQ+ constituents. So Mike Wong and the band are going to do a special introduction for the mayor, and all of you are going to participate via sing-along cards.
So I'd like to thank the mayor and the board of supervisors for putting it into an ordinance that we are the official band of the City and County of San Francisco. And so as our gift to you, as the official band, I'll have Stephanie Richardson lead us in a sing-along to sing the official song of San Francisco. And you will all sing along. We'll have cue cards for your part.
Thank you to the Lesbian Gay Freedom Band, the official band of San Francisco. You know, we are celebrating Pride Month here in San Francisco, and it feels like not too long ago we just raised the flag at City Hall. We've had some amazing events, some great ribbon cuttings, some parties, some festivities, so many incredible things to celebrate Pride Month. That's why it's so appropriate that we are here today to take a moment to pause, to reflect on our history, to reflect on the challenges that we still face, and to rededicate ourselves to being a force of good for the rest of the country to follow. I want to thank Patrick Carney for his dedication to this incredible event that he continues to host during Pride Month, and all the amazing volunteers, and express my sincere condolences to the loss of your mom, who year after year after year, people who came here to assist in putting up this triangle remember her generosity, her support, and her love, not only for her son, but for this community. So thank you, Patrick, for your leadership and ongoing efforts in this. And as the Consul General of Germany reminded us, that although we've made incredible gains and we are so fortunate to be in a place like San Francisco where there is love, and respect and support for our differences in over 70 countries around the world, there are still places where being who you are as a member of our LGBT community is illegal. And that is something that we have got to change, and we know this. And I gotta say that in San Francisco, we are doing so many incredible things in order to advance this community. And I am so glad that Supervisor Mandelman, who was in the Pride Run earlier today, probably ran up the hill to get here for this event, but working with him on the Board of Supervisors, the millions of dollars of investments that we are making to provide support for housing opportunities, for HIV funding, for all of the things that are truly important investments. We are doing it here in San Francisco, and I am most excited about a new initiative thanks to the leadership of the Office of Transgender Initiatives under Claire Farley here. We are making a $2 million investment to support Trans Home SF, the first of its kind. Because we know folks who are part of our trans community are 18 times more likely to experience homelessness than any other population. So we must do more. We must do more to support our communities. We must be reminded of the challenges that still exist, and we must continue to fight for the kinds of changes that will lead to a better society, not just here in San Francisco, but across the world. I was really excited about making the San Francisco Lesbian and Gay Freedom Band the official band of San Francisco, not just because I played French horn in junior high school, but because we are sending a message. We are sending a message to people across the world about who we are and what our values are as San Franciscans. We will continue to put forth the right policies. We will continue to make the right investments. And we are so blessed to have incredible leaders who are fighting for equality for all of us. And so I want to thank you all again for being here today. I know it's cold, but last year, remember, it was burning up hot. We were all sweating, and today we're freezing, and that's just the way San Francisco goes. Thank you all so much, and enjoy the day. I almost forgot. One of the most important things that you can do as mayor of San Francisco. Today, on behalf of the City and County of San Francisco, I would like to declare it Pink Triangle Day in the City and County of San Francisco. And Patrick, just because it's Pink Triangle Day doesn't mean that your parking tickets aren't waived too. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mayor London Breed. Fabulous. I'm going to make a change in the middle of the program. I'd like Jennifer Bishop to come up. She's the president of the Pride Board. I would like her to introduce all of the Grand Marshals because they have to get to another event.
Jennifer is my wife, who's here today.
Jacqueline.
Hello, Jacqueline Bishop here. It's an honor to represent San Francisco Pride as president of the board. I'd like to acknowledge two of our board members who are here with us today, Carolyn Weisinker and Bruce Beaudet, the Pink Triangle Beekeeper. What San Francisco Pride accomplishes is not simple, but to us, our values are very simple. It's about visibility, inclusion, and community. The pink triangle is a beautiful symbol of resilience, and it's an honor for us to support it. Speaking of honor of supporting, I'd like to quickly introduce some of our Grand Marshals and Honorees who are here today. Vince Christosimo, Samson McCormick, and Mrs. Vera. We've acknowledged my wife Jen Bishop here today, and my mom Patty Sullivan's visiting from Boston to support me and all of us. Finally, I'd like to say, and they all can see we're together as we walk on by. All of the people around us, they say, can they be that close? Yes, we can be that close. We are all family, we are community. Keep loving each other and resist. Thank you.
Jacqueline Bishop, thank you. So would Miss Vera and Michael Gladstone please at least walk across the stage? Yes. Maybe even give us a few words, please.
Hello, and thank you all for being here. I'm going to keep it really brief because it is cold. But, the pink triangle, to me, it's such a powerful and clear symbol. That simplicity means that what it stands for can't be forgotten. So it's so thrilling to see it every year with the bittersweet qualities and the historical significance of it. It just makes me realize that I'm so glad to live in San Francisco, which is a more complicated kind of symbol, but a really important and timely one to this country and to the world. And it's a little less clear what it means to different people, but that's where the dialogue is in this country right now, is which places are putting their money where their mouth is on what we stand for. And people are watching and people are seeing, and California is really leading the way. So I thank all of our politicians and the people that support them, and just this search to live well, live properly, live kindly, live decently, and treat other people the way you would want them to treat you. It's not rocket science. So thank you for being here and remembering why we're here to commemorate this important symbol. Thank you.
And thank you for wearing that outfit.
This thing, I just had it on.
Stand in front where they can see it.
Century of pride.
25 years together.
25
Just something she had hanging in her closet. And a few other Grand Marshals before they run off. Mr. McCormick?
Oh, mind your business. Telling me what to do. It's my job. Hi, y'all. Happy Pride. Oh my God, do y'all feel that? Do y'all feel the love? Like this is good. It's good to be in a place where we can see and experience love and community. I think we need to embrace that, and we need to continue to fight for it because it's under attack, and we need to hold on to it and hold on to each other. I kind of was not expecting to, I don't know who set this up. Did you set this up? And then you're going to tell me what to do? We going to fight. I didn't know, I wasn't expecting this, but I will say that one thing that comes in handy in a situation like this is I did grow up a black gay boy, poor, without anything, in the hood in Southeast DC. So if there's one thing I learned how to do, it's improvise, okay? So I just want to say I'm happy to be here. I am honored to be chosen as one of the Grand Marshals for, I know I'm not crying, it's the cold air. For just standing. I don't necessarily look at it as anything special for me other than the people that I represent. I remember growing up as a young black gay boy in an environment where I was told every Sunday that God did not love me. And for those of you all here who subscribe to religion, I believe that we all know that God loves everybody and that there's a seat for all of us at that table. Also, you know, in an environment where we had to fight for everything. There wasn't adequate housing. There wasn't adequate, you know, medical insurance. You did not know if you would be going home from, you know, school and the cops could pull you over just because you looked like a suspect. You know, what type of bullshit is that? Excuse my language. And we had to fight through all of those things. And yet we still stand, we still persevere. And we continue to keep fighting. And so I stand here, you know, representing and standing with our community, but also speaking on behalf of black gay boys who need people to stand for them and fight for them. Trans people of color, black trans people, we need to continue to fight for them because they're being killed and nobody's saying anything about it. So the people who have the voices, we need to lift our voices and fight for them. Our horns, our hands. Tomorrow when we're out there partying in the street, we're going to party, but my godmama Kinfolks, as Kinfolks says, we're going to party and do activism at the same time. And you can do both and have a good time. So thank y'all again and happy Pride. Love each other.
And Vince Crisostomo.
Wow. You know, I cannot tell you, I graduated high school in Gilroy. I'm from Guam, but I graduated high school from Gilroy in 1979, and that was the year that I came out. That was my first Pride Parade, and it was joyful. It was liberation. It was everything that I didn't experience as a teenager. The next year, 1980, I went back and I had my first kind of love who dumped me at the end of the day for an older man. So that was kind of painful. And I didn't go back to Pride for maybe another 10, 15 years because sometime after that, you know, the AIDS epidemic hit. And it was really hard to celebrate. So for the last 20 years, I've avoided looking out into crowds like this and seeing who's there because all I could remember was who wasn't there. And this has been a week of remembering everybody who wasn't there. And the fact that I won the popular vote told me I have a responsibility to be here in front of you to represent those people who are not here. To thank our politicians here in San Francisco who, like what Mayor Breed had just talked about, the trans, that's history. It's like the people that were in the sidelines with me in the 90s, they have been regulated, they're nowhere to be found. And so when someone does the kind of supportive things that we have here in San Francisco, we need to lift them up because I've worked in countries where they don't have that. And I manage a network called the 50 Plus Network, and I keep telling them, you need to be nice to these folks, Scott, Raphael, because, you know, they're doing their best, and it's really difficult. But anyway, the last thing I just wanted to say is, after all of that this week, yesterday I woke up and I thought, you know what? This is liberation. Not everybody gets a parade on their 40-year anniversary of their coming out. And had I not survived, I would have never known that. So thank you all. Thank you to San Francisco. Thank you to our politicians who make the health care that has kept me alive and many of my people. And just As you go about this week, I mean, pride is really important, but if you see anything that moves you, remember that, because it's great to be celebratory this weekend, but we need it all year round. So please, and have a happy and safe Pride. Thank you.
Thank you, Vince. There are Stonewall celebrations all over the world this weekend. So to help honor Stonewall 50, it is good to add some more international perspective by hearing from a representative of the nation of France. Please welcome the French Consul General, Emmanuel Lebrun-Damiens.
Bonjour, San Francisco. It's so great to be here. I have one very simple message. I'm 42, I'm a diplomat, I'm gay, and when I was in high school, I would have never dreamed I could come out, be here today with you. But when I was 15, deep in the countryside in Normandy, I was looking here. I was reading Armistice de Maupin. I was reading about the history of the LGBT community in this city, about Harvey Milk, and I thought there was hope coming from the West. And my message is thank you, because these activists from this city have changed the world. And today in Paris, we are honoring them. And I'm very happy to see that. Today in Paris, there is a Harvey Milk Square. It was unveiled by Mayor Hidalgo no later than 2 weeks ago. And today in Paris, there is a Gilbert Baker Square as well. And through these dedications, we are honoring them, and we are saying thank you for San Francisco. As the mayor and Uli said, there is still a lot to do to have equal rights. And we are fighting together in the world for that, and we will achieve it. But our message today is thank you, San Francisco. Happy Pride!
Thank you very much. Please welcome Senator Scott Weiner.
Thank you, Patrick. First of all, I want to thank Patrick for all the work he's done for so many years. And let's hear it for the First Amendment. So Patrick, thank you for your work for more than 2 decades to do this. This takes so much energy and effort, and we take it for granted every year, and Patrick gets it done. So let's hear it for Patrick Carney. And Patrick, I'm so sorry about your mom. It was seeing her every year. It's sort of part of what this event is, and it's not the same without her, but I know that she is smiling down on us from heaven, and she is here in spirit. So rest in peace, and thank you for making Patrick and giving us Patrick. So I remember growing up, I'm Jewish, and I remember my parents talking to me about the Holocaust and talking about how how fortunate my family was to have come here from Eastern Europe before 6 million Jews were killed. And something that sometimes we forget is that there was a boat full of Jews that fled Germany and came to the United States seeking refuge. And the United States turned them away. And they went back to Germany, and they went to the concentration camps. And so when we look at this country and what's happening today with a refusal to accept refugees, with this horrific attacks that we're seeing on immigrants, on people who are fleeing terrible persecution. And I was down in Tijuana recently meeting with LGBT refugees from Central America who were being brutalized and trying to flee to this country to save their lives and make lives for themselves. We have to remember what happens when the United States of America turns its back on refugees. And we have to keep fighting for our community, for our immigrant brothers and sisters, and to make sure that this country is what it has always been, a refuge to people who want to save themselves, save their families, make lives for themselves. And I am so proud to be a San Franciscan and to represent this great city in the California State Senate. And you know, they sometimes make fun of us and dismiss us. When we declared ourselves a sanctuary city a few decades ago, when we declared marriage equality, when we started needle exchange to try to stop the worst of the AIDS epidemic. We did all these things and they laughed at us and said we were crazy. And then guess what? 5 years later, everyone in California is doing it. And 10 years later, it's happening across the country. That's what San Francisco is about, seeing what's possible and leading. Happy Pride, everyone.
Thank you, Senator Weiner, for these. I see them on the podium. All the volunteers, thank you. Please welcome one of our great straight allies, Assemblymember David Chu, and his son Lucas.
Good morning, San Francisco, and to our visitors, we want to welcome you to a classically hot and balmy day in our city. And thank you for taking part of this incredible ritual. This is my 11th year in public office. I've not missed this ceremony because of its importance. And I will tell you, another ritual I have is on Saturdays, I always have my son. And my 3-year-old son, this is his 3rd Pink Triangle event. Wherever he just went. And I will tell you, this is a year where my son learned both about colors and about shapes. And as we were driving up the hill, I told Lucas, I said, Lucas, look for the pink triangle. And I don't think he yet understands the significance of the pink triangle, but through the work that all of you are doing, he is learning his first history lesson of social justice. And I cannot thank you, Patrick, enough for that. I'm going to be very brief and simply to say, as you've heard before, the pink triangle has symbolized the darkest times in human history. Times that it is important to remind us today when we still know that homophobia, anti-Semitism, discrimination, bigotry, racism still infects too many parts of the world, including our very country. It's important that we think of this symbol when we see images in the paper of a father and his child face down in the water. But it is also important that we remember this symbol because it is a symbol of light, it is a symbol of hope. This week, as we celebrate the 50th anniversary of Stonewall, I will tell you, in our state capitol, I was so proud to bring the owners of the Stud to be honored for creating a safe space in the LGBT community decades ago. I was honored to be part of a Democratic majority that said that we must condemn hate. I was proud that we moved forward a bill to say that transgender graduates of educational institutions have the right to declare their gender identity whatever they want. We must remember, we will always remember, and the future of the Pink Triangle rests with my son's generation and beyond. And I think because of what we do today, someday, the light and warm weather will come not just to San Francisco, but to the entire world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Assemblymember Chu, and thank you for the proclamations. Claire Farley is a national human rights and transgender rights advocate, and is senior advisor to the mayor of San Francisco. She will be discussing the pending transgender ban in the U.S. military and also will be speaking of transgender issues in general. Please welcome Claire Farley.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Patrick and Mayor Breed and everyone for coming out today. Yesterday, we had a historic day where we launched the trans housing campaign with Mayor Breed, a trans march. When we look back at our history from 2005, when the first trans march started, we would be able to look up on the hill and remember our history. And this pink triangle is one of those moments where we cannot forget our history. And when we look at our trans community, we look at Compton's, we look at the cultural district, the point that started the trans movement before Stonewall was trans women of color. And right now in our country, just within the last month alone, we've lost 5 trans women of color during Pride Month in June for murder. This year alone, since January, we've lost nearly 20. And across the country and the world, over 350 trans women die every year. So when we look at the history of violence that we've all come from, we have to remember that our communities are still being impacted. So yes, as folks have mentioned, we celebrate, but we come out to remember that we're still here, that we're still fighting. We come out to remember for those that can no longer stand next to us, for the leaders like Mayor Breed, who came from public housing and is now our mayor of San Francisco, to give dreams to other young women like myself, the only trans department head in the city, the only office of trans initiatives in the country. Because if we don't have hope, if we can't look around and remember our history and have hope for the future, then our resistance and our resiliency can never be understood. And what we say to Trump in Washington is that not here, not in our San Francisco, we will continue to fight, we will continue to have policies and programs that shift this country, and we will continue to be sanctuary for all. Thank you.
We're grateful for the very long and continuing support from San Francisco Treasurer Jose Cisneros.
Good morning, and thank you, Patrick. As treasurer, let me explain a little bit about what our office does. We bring in the revenue. This year, in fact, we're bringing in over $5 billion of revenue for the city and county of San Francisco. And you know what that means? That means that the great programs that Mayor London Breed and Supervisor Raphael Mandelman are talking to you that support the trans community, HIV and AIDS sufferers, and everything else we do to support this community gets funded by our office. So we're proud of that work. We're proud to be able to make that possible. And as Patrick, you mentioned, I'm particularly proud to be the longest serving openly gay elected official here in San Francisco. And because of that, I'm here for the 15th year in a row to help you honor the work you do to display the pink triangle. Happy Pride, everyone.
15 years of support. Thank you, Jose. Please welcome the supervisor of the Castro and District 8 right here on Twin Peaks. Raphael Mandelman has the energy to be everywhere, all the time, all at once. He actually ran the San Francisco Marathon today, yet here he is.
I mean, I could say it was a marathon. It was the Pride Run. It was a 5K, but we'll call it a marathon. We'll do the same thing with my remarks. I'm going to be brief, and you're all going to say it was amazing. I want to say happy Pride. thank you, Patrick and Hossein, for giving us Patrick, and I want to add my condolences to everyone else who's expressed them. I know your mom is still so proud of you and what you have done up here every year to see this giant pink triangle claiming the whole entire city for pride is amazing. Reclaiming this historic symbol of oppression, reminding us of the importance of resistance, so much more important now than ever. This is an important Pride year. It's the 50th anniversary of Stonewall. But next year is going to be the 50th anniversary of our own Pride, the 25th anniversary of the Pink Triangle, and the year that a giant pink wave sweeps Donald Trump out of office. There is incredibly important work to be done, and I know Deborah Walker, who volunteered this morning helping set up, is going to help with that. Frances Shea, a lesbian on our Democratic County Central Committee, is going to help organize that. Our future district attorney, Susie Loftus, is going to help organize that. Happy Pride, everyone.
This is beautiful. Thank you very much, Raphael. I didn't realize Susie Loftus was here. Hi. It's nice to meet you. And I'd like to introduce our fabulous City College of San Francisco Board of Trustees, Alex Randolph, President, Tom Temprano, Vice President, and Trustee Chanel Williams.
Yes. Chanel sends her regards, but it's just going to be Tom and I for today. I'm going to keep him closer because I'm shriveling up any moment. So, but it's so exciting for the two of us to be here. It's especially exciting for me because some of you have heard me in the past. You know, my mother's side of the family is German. I grew up in Germany my first 16 years. So this pink triangle is in my soul. It's burned into my mind every single day that I live in the past of my family and the things that they have done, not only decades ago, but throughout the terrible history of the Holocaust. This year particularly is a tough one, because I was thinking, I never had the chance to talk to my grandparents about what were they thinking or doing during the time of the Pink Triangle, when they put these things on other human beings. And here in San Francisco, we are on hallowed ground of the Lonely Tribe. What were they thinking when the Native Americans were rounded up and sent to reservations all over the country? What were our neighbors and residents thinking when their friends and neighbors were rounded up by the federal government in Japantown and sent to internment camps across the country? What were the residents thinking when the Stonewall riots were happening or the Compton cafeteria riots were happening? What are we thinking now when they're separating families at the borders, when they're calling other human beings animals, insects, other names? I'm sure if Donald Trump could, he would put a triangle on people today. They're sending them to the same camps and type of infrastructure and places that they sent the Japanese families to. Some of the same locations are being used for camps right now, where kids can't even have a toothbrush or a safe place to sleep. What are we thinking today? What are we doing today when we have another round of these type of things happening? We've said never again. Now we're saying, how can this happen today? When will we say, what are we going to do today to stop this from happening in our own country, in our own backyard? The good thing is, history has lessons for us. At Compton, at Stonewall, a few group of people stood up and made a difference. A small group of people. So here we are. We are a small group of people. We are in San Francisco. What are we going to do now to make sure that this stops? So let's take note on this important day. Let's celebrate, but let's also make sure to stop this from happening in our own country. Thank you, everyone.
Perfectly said, President Randolph. I'll be brief. Happy Pride, everyone. Thank you, Patrick, and all the volunteers. Nobody does Pride like San Francisco, and part of the reason for that is that we have the best backdrop of any Pride in the entire world with this pink triangle. It's not just a wonderful backdrop, it is a reminder, it is an education about one of the darkest periods of our past as queer people. Thank you, Patrick, for making sure that we take those lessons, and as we celebrate, we remember what happened to folks just a couple generations ago, and as Alex said, what is happening to folks in our own country now. I have to give a City College plug. This year, we will be launching a Social Justice Associate of Arts for Transfer in Queer and Trans Studies at City College of San Francisco, so that we can make sure we are educating our students on our past and that they are guiding us to a better future. And I have to say, thanks to the generosity and support and commitment to the Free City program that Mayor Breed has expressed in her budget, each and every San Francisco resident can go to City College of San Francisco, study queer and trans studies, and do it for free. So sign up, enroll, and have a happy Pride, everybody.
Thank you. We're in good hands at City College for sure. So now we're at that part of the program where we christen the Pink Triangle while the dignitaries are shaking up their bottles of champagne. The San Francisco Lesbian Gay Freedom Band, the official band, will entertain us.